I sat on the bench, and so I got 16 of my friends to sit up in the grandstand one night and root for me. So they sat up there and they said, "We want Hastings. We want Hastings. We want Hastings. We want Hastings." And the coach turned to me and he said, "Why don't you go up there? Your friends want you more than I do." But you like football. I watched so much football on television last year, I wore out my own end zone. Am I talking too fast for you? I remember when I lived in Arkansas, I played with the Bologna Vanguards. And the great game, the last big game of the season, was when we played the Greenbrier Gophers. And it was the last game. It was the last quarter. And the score was 67-0 in favor of the Greenbrier Gophers. Well, I knew right then we were under pressure. And way out there in the night somewhere, a car backfired. And the Greenbrier team thought it was the gun that ended the game, and they walked off the field. 3 plays later, we scored. On a field goal. That was partially blocked. It's nice to have Mrs. Smith here. She goes with me sometimes. We're down in Texas recently. One of those big Texans, about 6'6", 275 pounds, came up to Mrs. Smith and he said, "I want to ask you something. Did you marry your husband for his good looks?" She said, "No, not this time." Well, he said, "You marry a husband for his money." Oh, she said, "Money? You know, Nazarene preachers don't have any money." She said, "I married my husband for his brains." She said, "You see, with me, sir, it's the little things in life that count." She and I met in a restaurant down in Oklahoma some years ago, Saturday night. And she had come in, she was sitting over here by herself, and the waiter came over and he said, May I take your order, please?" And she said, "Yes, tonight I would like something simple." So he came over and got me. I lived in Arkansas most of my life, and my mother had the first Model T Ford in Faulkner County. She was a school teacher, and that Ford had 4 big, bright, shiny fenders. But grander far than our new car were Grandpa's red suspenders. On Sunday mornings, he would dress there by the front bedroom windows. He would walk and talk, and then he'd snap his brand new red suspenders. In church, the preacher preached against hypocrites and pretenders. But Grandpa smiled and said, "Amen. Preach it," with his thumbs in his red suspenders. Once we took a trip on the train, and I tried to count the cinders. Grandma wore her store-bought dress. Would you believe Grandpa wore his red suspenders? When Grandpa died, the pastor said, "This man had no offenders. He loved God and his fellow men." And yes, he also loved red suspenders. Someday up there on golden boulevards, where nothing harms or hinders, I'll meet Grandpa once again, still wearing brand new red suspenders. Well, it beats working, you know. Fellow said, "How long have you worked for this company?" And he said, "Ever since they threatened to fire me, that's how long." I saw Ted Williams beat the White Sox with a home run at Kaminsky Park. And I've stood alone on Staten Island, and I've seen the Big Apple after dark. I've heard the Boston Pops play in Boston, up there amid the elite social set. But I'd rather be at homecoming on the campus of Olivet. I've seen the Space Needle in Seattle and the Puget Sound waterways. And I watched the Dodgers win the World Series when they beat the Oakland A's. I've ridden ski lifts west of Denver and got my britches sopping wet. But I'd rather be at homecoming on the campus of Olivet. I've seen the bluegrass in Kentucky, where horse racing is the sport of kings. I've stood on the plains of Kansas and watched a golden pheasant rise on wings. I've walked in downtown Las Vegas, where it's still legal to stand and bet. But I'd rather invest my money on the campus of Olivet. I've heard the fiddles play in Nashville, and I've heard Porter Wagner sing about cheating hearts and flirting women and a broken $15 wedding ring. I've listened to his nasal vocals until I wanted to get up and get far away from the twang and the jargon and hear some good music on the campus of Olivet. I've eaten peaches down in Georgia until the juice dripped off my chin. I've gorged myself on southern sausage until it was almost nothing short of sin. And I've seen rodeos in Arizona where the cowboys roped and rode and sweat, but I'd rather be at homecoming on the campus of Olivet. And I've eaten Louisiana gumbo, and I've tasted southern stew, and I hit a skunk once on the interstate. And it filled my car with long-lasting pew. I saw Lindell beat Jimmy Connors in a straight 6-0 set. I'd like to have him as a doubles partner here on the campus of Olivet. I've seen Lincoln's grave in Springfield, where the rail splitter lies in peace. And for me, Lincoln stood 10 feet taller when he said, "All slavery must cease." He took no word processor to Gettysburg. He rode there in no private jet. Today we enjoy the legacy he left us here on the campus of Olivet. I saw Jack Nicklaus hit a golf ball. I was standing near the tee. He was playing in Tallahassee. His ball came down in northern Tennessee. I saw Larry Bird shoot a hook shot, and I watched the ball through the net, but I'd rather root for the Tigers here on the campus of Olivet. I watched all the politicians as they tried to get my vote, and now the election's over, I think all they got was my goat. Last night, my TV box stood silent. I got up and turned off the set so I could write down all the good things that are happening on the campus of Olivet. I camped out north of Boise as we gave chase to deer and elk. We took no television with us and no cassettes of Lawrence Welk. I fell off a carousel at Six Flags. I fell off a carousel at Six Flags, and my face was crimson red, and I thought I'd just lie there and play like I was dead. I got bumped once at O'Hare Airport, and like a potted plant there I sat, but I'd never get that kind of treatment on the campus of Olivet. I listened to Johnny Carson, and I was amazed at his success. I saw Phil Donahue run through an audience and completely disturb their happiness. I got stopped by a highway patrolman, and he was very short-tempered, you can bet. That's why I always try and fly United whenever I come to the campus of Olivet. I spent a week at Branson, Missouri. They were having Conway Twitty. So I went to see Shepherd of the Hills. The next day, Silver Dollar City. I had smokehouse ham for breakfast, and I gave some to our pet, but I'd rather have the buffet at homecoming on the campus of Olivet. I've preached in many churches, and I've stood before many folks, and I've listened to many speakers, and I heard Red Skelton tell his jokes. I listened to Jerry Clower's stories, and they're hard to forget, but I'd rather be at homecoming on the campus of Olivet. I saw Johnny Cash at the airport. He was dressed in somber black. He makes more money than Ronald Reagan and keeps it in a gunny sack. But the IRS gives him problems. Every day he must stew and fret, but I'd rather hang loose at homecoming on the campus of Olivet. I heard Al Hurt play a trumpet, and I watched old Satchmo do the same. I saw Jim McMahon get sacked 3 times in the Chicago Bears football game. I saw the Detroit Red Wings playing hockey, and I watched the puck fly through the net, but I'd rather be at homecoming on the campus of Olivet. I walked the boardwalk at Coney Island. I saw Harlem the next day. I've seen the gays in San Francisco in the city by the bay. I watched their flagrant demonstrations and their strange etiquette. Thank God the standards are so much higher here on the campus of Olivet. Mike Tyson is in deep trouble. His wife gave him an unexpected blow. She up and sued him for divorce about a month or so ago. She is the most devastating opponent that Mr. Tyson has ever met. I wish he'd donate $1 million to the campus of Olivet. I saw Fats Waller play a piano. I heard Boots Randolph play a sax. I heard the Vienna Choir Boys singing over here east of Pontiac. I've heard the Mormon Choir from Utah and the Oak Ridge Boys Quartet, but I'd rather hear a Harlow Hopkins concert on the campus of Olivet. There are many academic centers and universities that are great. There's Notre Dame and SMU and Purdue and Georgia Tech and Ohio State. There's MIT and Nebraska. You just go down the alphabet. But the best one is located on the campus of Olivet. I rode Amtrak, but I didn't like it. The timetable was too slow. It's the jet age, man. Things are moving. Get with it, man. Get up and go. Strap me inside a spaceship. Throw in my toothbrush and my Gillette. Blast me 10,000 miles up, yes, upward. Let me gaze down on the campus of Olivet. Let the stars bounce off my spaceship. Let the Big Dipper play me a tune. Let my anxious face be powdered with cosmic dust from the moon. Let me float inside that capsule. Let angels sing into my headset. Nothing could be more thrilling except homecoming at Olivet. So start the parade tomorrow. Let the trombones pick up the beat. Let the cheerleaders strut like peacocks down the middle of Main Street. Wave the flag and kiss the bulldog. Wake up the prisoners at Joliet. Let them know it's homecoming here on the campus of Olivet. It's homecoming, all you alumni. Pass the biscuits. Sop the gravy from the pan. Grab your husband by the goatee. Do a cartwheel if you can. Put a big smile on your kisser. Hoop it up till your eyeballs sweat. You paid the budgets. Nuts to Kansas City. It's homecoming at Olivet. Turn back the years. Bring back the memories of all the semesters that were yours. Relive the yesterdays on this campus with its sacred overtures. We are gathered in this chapel to give praise and not forget the God that made it possible with manifold blessings on Olivet. Tomorrow may be uncertain. There may be cosmic dust on the stars. And our planet may be ripped asunder by the deadly, bloody hand of Mars. Armageddon may soon come crashing with its catastrophic threat. If so, meet me inside God's big city, all you gallant alumni of Olivet. Why, they cannot shell God's temple. They cannot dynamite his throne. They cannot bomb his city, nor rob him of his own. They cannot take him captive, nor hurt him with their lies, nor starve him to surrender, or make him change his mind. Though all the world be shattered, this truth remains the same. His righteous law still potent, God the Father still his name. And though we face war and struggle and feel their goad and rod, above the wild confusion will always be the alumni of Olivet plus God.